This is what I was worried about. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are reviewing episodes 7 and 8 of Wandavision on Disney+. I will be discussing spoilers ahead, so if you haven't watched the programs, step away now before I spoil anything for you. If you don't care, then come along for the ride. So diving into episode 7, I wasn't crazy about this episode. The biggest reveal, of course, would be that of Agnes being Agatha Harkness and that she's behind it all along. And I was worried about that. I thought we might have this happen. Agnes has been played up to be a suspicious character. Anyone with social media probably already knew that she was Agatha Harkness because the internet can't shut up and keep things to itself when it discovers something. So it was the worst kept secret in television. I have to admit, I didn't know anything about Agatha Harkness as a character in the comics. Wanda and Vision are not characters that I visited that often in the comic book franchise. So I was a little disappointed, actually, not necessarily by Marvel, more by just the general public, because I think that could have been a nice surprise for somebody like me who doesn't know who Agatha Harkness is, doesn't really know what the power is. I did say that if we have to have a big bad villain pulling all the strings and doing the evil laughter, which we got, then I'd prefer it to be somebody that I didn't know, somebody completely new. I was worried that it was going to be Hydra or just complete rehash of things that we've already done. So I was glad that we got Agatha Harkness, but I was hugely disappointed that because basically the world can't just keep a secret, I already knew what to expect. The interesting aspect of the reveal, though, was that it obviously left it on a bit of a cliffhanger as to, well, how much has Agatha been behind all of this? Why has Agatha been behind all of this? What does Agatha actually want from Wanda? And sadly, that puts us into episode 8, which I was hugely disappointed by. I thought this was probably the weakest episode since... I mean, it's pretty neck and neck with those first two where we had Paul Bethany singing Old MacDonald Had a Farm. This was just a time waste. This whole penultimate episode was a total and utter time waste. It was tropey and cliche because this has been done so many times. You just have what I like to call a deleted scenes episode. We have to go back to the beginning. Now that we've got the big reveal, we have to go right back to the beginning, go through everything that we already knew and had in order to get an answer that we already had. For what purpose? To just waste half an hour to give your new big bad villain nothing to work off? If Agatha Harkness reveals herself in the previous episode and there's only 2 episodes left, why is Agatha Harkness showing herself, revealing herself, if she doesn't have the answers? Because basically, Agatha takes Wanda down memory lane to try and find out how she's doing this magical world thing, which I just question, well, Agatha must know that there's only 2 episodes left, because for the last 6 episodes, she's done absolutely nothing to infiltrate the mind of Wanda or actually discover anything, apart from sit around and look after the kids. I don't really understand her plan or motive or how she's executed it, if you ask me. Surely you wait until everything has fallen into place before you reveal yourself and show yourself to be the big bad villain. No, not here. You basically realise that you've not done anything and you've only got 2 hours left to do something, so you fix up, look sharp. Fix up, look sharp! Exposition dump everything for half an hour and not be ready to actually fulfil your plan.
Something dark side. Something complete.
And you just think the main character is going to just hand it over to you? I don't know. I thought this was really weak writing, really lazy writing. You start with this Salem witch trial as to sort of how Agatha comes to be, but again, it's very brief and quick and doesn't explain a lot. She just is a powerful witch, and she's obviously very old because the scene you see her in is set in the 1600s. She takes a pendant charm off her mother, which immediately I thought, well, you're focused on it, so I'm guessing that's going to be a MacGuffin of some sorts, like the source of all her power. If Wanda destroys the little pendant, Agatha's no more. It's boring, it's tired, it's cliche, it's tropey. Can we do something new, interesting? I was really on board with the whole PTSD and grief thing, but not for it to be executed like this. I thought it would be much smoother if Wanda could just figure this out on her own. I don't mind that Wanda's doing it. I just don't need Agatha to have a very half-ass, half-cooked plan that doesn't really seem to have any execution to it at all, apart from to just sit around and watch what Wanda's doing and then reveal yourself when you're not ready. There was one semi-interesting part of the flashbacks, so to speak. You see that the Vision is being taken apart by Sword. I didn't believe for a second he was taking Vision apart. Vision is 1 in a million and probably worth endless amounts of money to any government anywhere. You would not just take that apart and broke its arm, toys. You wouldn't do that. It's like if you found an alien. If an alien crash landed on this planet, the government wouldn't just, let's just chop its head off and see what's inside. You'd study it, you'd experiment it, you'd put, is it allergic to this? Will this damage it? Can it drink water? Can it eat food? You wouldn't just take a look inside and hope for the bloody best. It's just stupid. But I appreciate that they did somewhat pay attention to that, because at the end, in the mid-credits stinger, you see that Sword have reanimated Vision somehow. Don't really understand how, beyond they seem to have taken the power from the model aeroplane or drone camera that they sent into Wanda's world, and it came back still holding some of the power from Wanda's world. Somehow you can make Vision from that. It's the same level of logic as Wanda goes to Westview, sees the spot where Vision had picked for them to live, and then she just explodes with red magic, and that just makes the dome happen. And not only the dome, it makes Vision happen, who seems to be created from her, please don't say heart and soul, because that's might be the cheesiest thing I've ever heard in my life, but I think it might be made from her heart or from her love. Aww. So yeah, I really like this show. I don't mean to be mean and bagging on it. I'm not in a bad mood by any means. I'm not letting personal problems get in the way here. I just was hugely let down. The start of the show was stuttering and I wasn't that impressed, and then I had to sort of apologise to the show because from episodes 3, 4, 5, 6, it flew. It took itself really off the ground. And now I'm back to worrying that they're not going to nail the landing on this. I don't think they are. I want them to. I really want them to. But I think you might have already skewed it in these last 2 episodes. I don't think you've really achieved anything. You haven't achieved a good villain, and I think you've put far too much influence on a villain to be that important. I said from the get-go, I don't think you needed it. And I think it's actually starting to prove me right. Just to mention as well from episode 7, you also see that Monica Rambeau turns into what I believe is Photon, who, again, I don't know much about. Heard of her, seen her vaguely in bits and pieces of comics and other animated materials and things like that. I've never been that blown away by her or wanted to research her. I think it's cool that you're doing that. It opens many a door to things like potentially bringing in the X-Men with mutant powers. It's also quite nice to see a superhero be born from nothing, almost nothing. I mean, she has a little bit of a backstory with Captain Marvel, and it's a good backstory. It could lead to a big fight later down the road between herself and Captain Marvel, which would be interesting to see. It's not got much hype behind it, really, because we don't really know what Monica Rambeau / Photon can actually do power-wise. She seems to just have blue eyes and superhero landings. It's not much to go off at the moment. I thought it was cool, but I don't really want to hold my breath. I want to just see what they're doing with that. It could go either way. They could really go somewhere with that, or it might just be a load of nothing to just sort of give a story to a character they didn't know what to do with. So I'm going to give episode 7 of Wandavision An 8 out of 10. Ultimately, it was enjoyable. I did enjoy the Agatha all along introduction that she was given. It was simple enough, and it gave you a simple enough explanation as to how she'd been doing things. It didn't spoil it all, it didn't throw everything at you, it still left you with some questions. And I'm going to give episode 8 of Wandavision 5 out of 10. This one was the one that really disappointed me. Nothing really happened, nothing was really learnt. Character growth was non-existent for both villain and good guy. I mean, certain reveals really were so low on impact. We discover that the reason the whole show has been about sitcoms, or the sitcom sort of aesthetic, because Wanda used to watch sitcoms. I was worried that that would be the case. I didn't really understand the gimmick from the get-go beyond this show apparently needs a gimmick, and the gimmick is we're going to copy famous sitcoms. I don't feel it that necessary. And then as it went on, I started to enjoy it and started to like it, as I started to recognise the shows and sort of put things together that it makes sense in the idea that these sitcoms will give you situations and the main character has to figure it out. And there is a message in sitcoms. So I understood it in that regard, that it was sort of a way of making Wanda's memory jar. I didn't think for a minute, oh yeah, it's like this because she watched sitcoms. I spent about 6-7 years of my childhood watching Dragon Ball Z, but I highly doubt that if my reality was changed, I would start going Super Saiyan and... Give us something with substance as to why that's your aesthetic. Not just, she likes them. I think that's really weak. I think that's really poor writing. I'll keep my fingers crossed for the final episode either way. It's been a good show. We've come this far. Let's see what they do with it. It is still Marvel and Disney. They might just have a saving grace in the bag. Thanks for watching this review. If you could leave a like, comment and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.